Hi everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already watched, I say pretty much at the beginning of all my videos nowadays that if you're gonna watch my channel, you need to know that I'm a mom of 3 and 1 on the way, and currently, and my channel is informal. It's full of family life and it's not that high tech. But I want to inspire moms, especially, as I always say, in the Western world, where we tend to be very isolated and in our society, and to throw out the perfectionism and expectations of society, and just go for what what you intuitively feel is good and right, and include your family in that. Yeah, so moms who really want to have a community mind again, develop a community mind again, and include their kids, include their families, and start a YouTube channel like I did, or something else, and just go for it. So yeah, so that's my introduction, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the sacred art of tolerance. Tolerance is a sacred art. A lot of people don't really see it that way, but I've come to see in my life that it is. That in the Western world, especially, is where I grew up. I grew up in the U.S., but in the West, for the last few hundred years, there has been this trend of enforcing religious, political, social views on to everyone, and then with the birth of the liberal movements, tolerance became a set of rules and a set of beliefs, very much like religion, just a lot of times sort of replacing God, with science, and sort of a more, I guess, linear secular realm. And this divide happened, but the nature of both the conservative and liberal sides is the same. It's still very much the Western trend, of the Western trend of enforcement of beliefs, whatever the popular political, social beliefs are. They could be liberal or conservative. And tolerance in the liberal realm, which is where I grew up mostly, in schools, in my school communities, in some of my family communities, most of my family communities, I actually grew up in my immediate family. I grew up in a religious realm, so that was a different experience. But I got sort of a very intimate taste of both worlds, and in the liberal realm, the sort of tolerance becomes to be an open-minded and tolerant person. There's like a set of beliefs that you have to subscribe to in order to be considered open-minded and tolerant, which is fundamentally, diametrically opposite of what real tolerance is and what the sacred art of tolerance is. as long as one is enforcing one's beliefs, no matter what they are. They can be Christian. They can be another religion. They can be secular. They can be political. They can be beliefs concerning sexuality, sexual standards, anything. As long as those standards are being enforced on other people, socially, politically, religiously, that is not tolerance. That is not tolerance. That is fundamentally intolerance. The sacred art of tolerance does not involve one, in fact, it must not involve that one must believe in a certain set of rules or beliefs or language. The sacred art of tolerance is fundamentally the art of tapping into the intuition, the higher self. A place where Rumi, a famous mystic, I believe, I thought he was Muslim, but I thought he was a Muslim mystic, but he may have been another religion, and I'm sorry I can't remember that, but I know he was a mystic, and I know he wrote a lot of powerful poetry that I read, and I'm just going to pause for a second. Yeah, I'm going to have to also pause in my videos too. That's the way it goes. I had to do a little editing there. Yeah, but Rumi talked about a field, okay, a field in the soul and the psyche, where it is a place which was translated into a place that is beyond right and wrong. There is a field, and he said, I'll meet you there. And there's a place that we all must go in the sacred art of tolerance in order to actually be harmonious as much as possible and growing in genuine people. There is a place that we must go, a field that we must go with each other, in which we experience each other on a soul level. And if we can first do that, then when differences come up, political differences, social differences, moral differences, standard differences, when those things come up, if we're not already in that field, in that soulful field, that soulful place, then there is no hope for peace. Because it is that place surrounding us that keeps the ego at bay, keeps the intellect and the ego at bay, which tend to have this habit of compartmentalizing everything. One moment, please. Okay. Yeah, so compartmentalizing everything. When things are compartmentalized, then there is much room for a very destructive force called justification. Because I grew up in Massachusetts, then I live in a very politically and socially liberal realm. Liberals tend to hide behind the word liberal. And their racism, their intolerance and bigotry is very prevalent. It's very obvious to someone like me who grew up very much a part of my cultural realm, my heritage, and religious and spiritual background, and in which you learn very fast that you have to, in order to be open-minded, in order to be and considered tolerant, you actually have to follow a set of rules, a set of beliefs. You have to accept a certain moral standard. You have to accept a certain, and that moral standard really can have everything to do, everything from I suppose what you think about God, to what you think about sexuality, what you think about man and woman relations, etc., identity, etc. And you have, and the certain set of rules really has to do with accepting all of them. Being an open-minded, tolerant person in the liberal realm, which I've been steeped in for years and years and years, really has to do with, and the reason why I'm talking about the liberal realm so much is because that is where tolerance is claimed a lot of the time. And the sacred art of it has nothing to do with the sacred art of tolerance. It has everything to do with their own type of bigotry. But it's just labeled in a way, societally and politically, that, by the way, I'm neither conservative or liberal. I don't prescribe to any religion, but I talk a lot about it right now because that's where tolerance is claimed. That's where people claim to be tolerant a lot of the time. And it has nothing to do with the sacred art of tolerance. It has nothing to do with understanding and being culturally literate. And not just culturally literate on an intellectual level, but culturally literate on a soulful level. Understanding that cultural differences are very prevalent and very common, and to label them as moral differences is okay in your own mind, in your own practice. When having to relate to other people, to sort of plaster a label onto somebody just puts a wall between you and them. And it creates a lot of room for the energy of judgment and condemnation. And we have to come to understand that people come from cultures that are literally thousands of years old. And those cultures can have things in them that might be considered to a Western mind or an American mind to be more liberal or more conservative. But a lot of people like myself, who grew up in culture, who grew up in deep roots, who grew up in heritage, we don't really see it as necessarily more conservative or liberal. It just is. It's something sacred that was passed down to us. And that we're not about to just give up because politics says so. Western politics says so, or because some social dynamic says so, or this is the new thing, this is sacred to us. And And so as I said, like, cultural literacy, not just intellectually, but soulfully, is so important in practicing the sacred art of tolerance. True tolerance, as Rumi said, is a field. It's not a field in which everything is neutral. Nobody has a culture, nobody has standards, and we're all just in a safe space. The field is not a safe space, okay? It's not a safe space, y'all, okay? The field is a place where it's a soulful place. It's a place of the soul where we derive strength from our common humanity. So when differences do come up, we have the tools to go to a level of acceptance of each other. That doesn't have to do with accepting. Girls, one moment. It's too loud. Okay, thank you. Accepting particular beliefs or accepting particular lifestyles, accepting particular rules or customs or anything. Again, it can be secular, it can be religious, it can be political, it can be anything. It can be educational, anything. Like, it doesn't have to do with accepting particular beliefs. I'm sorry, one second, I gotta pause. Thank you. It has to do with a level of acceptance that goes into accepting each other as humans. That we are all human. That we are all here together as children of this planet, of a greater reality, even if one doesn't want to call it God. But we are here being sustained by the same earth, okay, by the same universe. And that's the acceptance, that's a level of acceptance that we need to come to if we hope for there to be any peace in this world. And that is the sacred art of tolerance. That is real tolerance. Tolerance is not a safe space. The field Rumi was talking about was not a safe space. Okay? It's not a place where everyone is safe. Okay? It's a place where we have the strength to face who we are and to face each other and to accept each other on a soulful level instead of a level of belief, systems, whatever they are. So, thanks for watching, and I hope that this was helpful to you, and God bless.